Hello everybody, this is BatHell24 and we are here with another Nick Crowley reaction. The last reaction that I did to Nick Crowley was him investigating and doing a deep dive on Smart Schoolboy 9, a middle-aged man who is posing as a kid on Instagram to get closer to other kids, and it's fetish content. You can go ahead and watch it if you want. It should be in one of my most recent videos. I don't post that often on YouTube. But today we have a new Nick Crowley video, the darkest kids TV show ever made. This sounds interesting and intriguing. Let's just get right into it. Flashing images shown. I do not condone the harassment of any person or group discussed. And this is your warning. You can look at this if you want. This is your only warning for this. There's gonna be a lot of heavy shit going on here, including these things. So let's get into it.
It's the winter of 1985.
Yes.
A family living in a remote region of the Philippines receives a package at their door, which contained a single VHS tape and a note stating that the contents were for the children of the house. And so the kids were gathered up one by one and sat in front of the television where the tape began to play, introducing them to a brand new show called...
What's this? Life with Grandpa. What? Oh! See, now that already looks off. If I can go back to that. Oh, I don't like the looks of those dolls. Oh my god. That already looks like all kinds of scary, you know? I mean, if we're being honest, that's all kinds of creepy that I don't want to watch. And I'm sure as hell that no kid would want to watch something that looks like this. I mean, well, maybe. Kids watch weird things, so I mean, it wouldn't be, you know, out of the ordinary to have a kid watch something with creepy ass dolls like this, but continue.
This was the experience for hundreds of kids across the world, made to watch a seemingly harmless puppet show about a grandpa and his family, with most of the young viewers loving it, gladly watching this episode and the many others that would be sent later on, over and over again, blissfully unaware.
But why would it be sent through VHS? Because it was sent on a VHS tape, right? What? I don't know, that sounds weird.
That what they were being shown would someday come to be known as one of the most disturbing rabbit holes in the history of children's media.
Oh shit.
This is the story of Life with Grandpa.
Yeah.
The darkest kids show ever made.
Ooh, let's see how dark this gets.
Persuade you to subscribe.
Before we dive any further down this rabbit hole, I want to first thank
Saley!
Sponsor.
Get that bag, Nick Crowley.
Countless trips to Canada as
get that grab.
And I'm
get
so
that bag.
there that at this point it doesn't even feel like I'm traveling to another country until I see the roaming charges on my phone bill.
Yeah.
This has literally cost me hundreds of dollars over the years, but luckily I don't have to waste another.
It is an issue.
Saley is a new eSIM service app created by Nord Security.
And I've been hearing a lot about Saley.
First, download the Saley app, then pick a plan that works for you, which you can use code Crowley to get 15% off at checkout. And then simply follow the instructions in the app to install the eSIM. This is way more convenient than having to get a new physical SIM card whenever you go to another country. And best of all, it instantly activates as soon as you arrive at your destination, so you don't have to waste a second of your trip. This is also way safer than having to use public Wi-Fi, which is a hassle to track down anyway. Saley is also extremely accessible, with it being available on both iOS and Android, with plans available in over 160 countries and 8 different regions. So if this sounds like something you guys might be interested in, you can get an exclusive 15% off discount on your Saley eSIM data plan.
Get that bag, Nick. Get that bag.
Checkout. Or you can also scan the code on screen right now and get started today.
I didn't skip that because, you know, get that bag, you know. Oh. Oh, here we go. Life with Grandpa. Let's see how dark.
Ace's Life with Grandpa, a straight-to-VHS show made for children created sometime in the mid-'80s.
Straight to VHS. You don't really hear that a lot these days. Like, that was the big thing back then, right? Like, a lot of these shows would just not be on TV at all. And they just go straight to, like, VHS tape or something like that. It was, like, a thing that happened with movies, too, I think. Where some movies would just not be in a movie theater, and then go either straight to VHS or... I was gonna say straight to DVD, but I don't think DVDs were a thing in the 80s, so... I think it was only straight to, like, VHS TV shows and movies and stuff like that. I remember the time where, it was... where some movies were, like, straight to DVD, you know? DVDs. I don't think anyone knows what DVDs are anymore, holy shit. Back in my day, God, I sound so old. I'm 27. Fuck. But yeah. Years and years ago, this thing is called DVD players. And, movies would come on a DVD that you would physically put into a DVD player. Yeah, physical media. Nowadays, everything is streamed through Netflix and all these other things, and it's like... It's fine, but... costs way too much money to pay for subscriptions for all these shit, you know? It's like... I went off on a tangent. Fucking...
A family of humanoid puppets on their journey to teach the audience lessons loosely based on Christianity through the use of stories, skits, and songs.
Oh, so it's like a Christianity type thing, okay, so... It's Christian made by a... I was gonna say Christian, but if it's the darkest kids show ever made, I don't think the man behind this is a Christian at all.
Acting as a guide for children to live their best possible lives for Jesus.
Yeah?
We're continuing with some more lessons about prayer. Are you all ready?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, this feels like it would be shown in a church.
Sweethearts.
The show was set up in an episodic fashion, never following any main overarching storyline, and instead, each installment would be composed of a series of shorter segments, recounting past experiences from this family, with an occasional musical number thrown in here and there.
This sounds like something... This sounds like something that would be shown in, like, a church, or something like that. If it's, like, a Christian thing. Like, churches would buy bulk VHS, like, tapes of episodes of this show, purely for, like, just playing it on, like, a VHS player for, like, kids, for, like, I don't know, like a Sunday school type thing or something like that. I don't know. It's been a while since I've, actually went to Sunday school, so I don't know how it goes now or how it goes back then, but I just saw a giant, like... I just saw a couple of giant, like, spikes, and I'm scared. Also, yeah, Renegade's Media reacted to this, too.
Unsurprisingly, the main character of the crew was Grandpa,
Yeah,
who
of
acted
course.
as the show's host.
Life with Grandpa!
Teach the episode's central messages not only to his on-screen family, but to all the kids watching at home.
Yes.
But it's my kite.
But wouldn't you like to pray that some poor little boy who doesn't have so many toys and blessings as you do will find your kite?
Yes, Grandpa.
As he was made to be
What?
a wise, almost religious-like figure,
Yeah.
whose words were never
It's like
questioned.
Jesus.
Often seen by his side was his wife, Mother Maria. Though
Mhm.
for as often as she's shown, she rarely has much to
Mother
say.
Maria.
Yes, thank the Lord for such a good, sweet boy.
Okay, this was getting weird.
Typically only chiming in when she's reiterating Grandpa's messages.
This is getting weird.
And of the children, there was Davida, Tetsu,
Yeah?
and Davidito, with the
Okay,
latter being one of
Davida,
the show's
Tetsu, and
central
Davidito.
figures, landing right next to or potentially even ahead of Grandpa in terms of screen time, as
Davidito.
Davidito often got his own segments and told his own stories directly to the audience.
Hello, children.
Someone outside. Oh yeah. My dad's home. That's so cool. Can't believe I just said that on camera. Holy shit. That's what I get for not muting myself.
Would you like to hear some exciting prayer adventures? This first story happened when I was very small.
Okay.
Although it's never
It
outright
did.
stated, it's
Did
clear
it?
that Davidito was put on a pedestal, with the child often getting special treatment and being showered in gifts, as the family
Huh.
clearly seemed to favor him.
Thank you,
Hmm.
Uncle Al.
It's called a kite.
We want to give you a little surprise because you were such a good witness.
This brand new tape recorder is for you.
Thank
What?
you, Jesus.
With there never being an explanation as to why.
What?
This is the core group of Life with Grandpa, with the only other reoccurring characters being Aunt Sarah and Uncle Elf, a couple that was often shown around the house helping look after the kids. And despite this looking
This
like
feels
something pulled straight
weird.
from the depths of the uncanny valley,
This feels weird. Even if I didn't have the title right here, and you just showed me Life with Grandpa, like, without any context, I think that this was weird. Like, something feels very off with this show. I can't quite put my finger on why it feels off, but it just does. I hate it. I hate it so much. Oh my
the
god.
content
The
within the
suspense.
show didn't really seem all that troublesome. In fact, it
The
was
suspense as to what is
like
actually
the many other
happening
low-budget
is killing
religious
me.
shows at the time, highlighting themes like obedience,
Nothing short of right is right.
Yes, so the right thing is...
To obey.
sharing,
Good morning, Davida. I have a surprise for you. Oh, can I
Okay.
see it? I would like to share my cars with you.
Okay.
Which ones do you like?
and loving everyone.
Yeah.
That's really sweet of you, David. Thank you for that nice, generous present.
What present?
That nice kiss. A kiss makes a real beautiful gift or present.
Though mixed within these fairly standard teachings, you'll find other moments that are far more
Other?
unusual.
Okay.
Don't run down that gravel hill. Davida!
What?
Oh,
Huh?
Davida.
She's bleeding, and her cut is all covered with dirt.
And I don't
What?
even have a tissue to wipe it with. I'll just have to lick it clean.
What?
Get out the dirt.
What?
This should feature a
Oh.
lot of strange underlying
Ew.
themes that seem to
What?
have nothing to do with religion, or at least not the conventional beliefs of Christianity, with one of the more obvious being its unprompted disdain for doctors.
We'll have to really pray that there won't be a scar.
Oh my
Soon
god.
afterwards, there was no sign at all of the deep gash on Davida's forehead.
What?
Surely a doctor would have stitched it. But our God is still a God of miracles.
Oh,
Praise the
so it's
Lord.
one of these people.
As well as its constant...
It's one of these families that are like, we don't believe in doctors and medicine, you know. Our Lord and Savior will heal all wounds. Fucking. Ugh.
endorsement of spanking.
Jesus spanks us because he loves us and
Uh,
wants us to obey
Huh?
and be good.
What? Why?
We're really sorry.
What?
So if the Lord should spank you a little bit or correct you, it's for your own good. It's because he loves
What?
you and wants you to be good.
What?
And while these are certainly strange, by far
What? I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't be laughing, but what the fuck? Oh, God spanks you, so I... What? What the fuck?
the most glaring indication that Life with Grandpa wasn't just your typical kids show came from the program's stance on women, with the first major example coming from a song made for the young girls watching on.
Do they hate women, or?
Dishes and clean the floor, and God can show us something more. I'm ready for any job at all, whether it's great or whether it's small.
What?
I'm ready to go, ready to stay, ready my place to fill.
What?
Service slowly or great, ready to do God's will.
What?
The message behind the song is clear.
Yeah.
If you're a woman, then it's your job to cook, clean, and have babies. And that's about it. As this is
Misogyny!
your sole purpose for existing. And while this ideology was certainly not as controversial at the time,
Yeah.
the show took it even further, as it hammered...
Yeah, it wasn't really, like, a controversial thing back in, like, the 80s. But, of course, now it's very controversial, but back in the 80s, that was, like, the standard norm, right? Like, it was the standard thing for, like, oh, you know, women belong in the kitchen, they cook, they clean, stuff like that. Because that was the thing back in the 80s. Nowadays, if someone says that, it's misogynistic, which is true. That is totally a misogynistic ideal. But back then, it was fine. Which is weird to think about. Because it's like, why?
Home this idea to all the children watching on by repeating one line at the end over and over again.
Trust and obey, for there's no other way. Trust and obey, for there's no other way. Trust and obey, for there's no other way.
Making it clear that this was a lesson that the showrunners didn't want these kids to question. But as comically offensive as this song is, it was far from the worst that the show had to offer.
Oh? No. What? Huh?
In another episode, we're shown a musical number about Grandpa, who's portrayed as a scientist
Yes.
that's always busy working. So
Yeah.
the song is really less about him and more about his love interest.
Huh? Huh? There's something obviously wrong with this image right here. Why the fuck in a kids show did you give the robot breasts? Why would you give a robot tits in a kids show? It hasn't even gotten to, like, the actual worst shit yet. I assume that it hasn't gotten to the actual worst shit yet. And I'm already like, what the fuck is going on in this show? Who made this show? What was he on when he made this show? Why, fucking why?
A robot
Mhm.
with long hair and nude female breasts.
Yep.
It's one of the most surreal things that I've ever seen on a kid show, as this thing was clearly meant to be a portrayal of Grandpa's wife and
Mhm.
women in general, likening them to robots. Though unlike the previous
It's
number,
sex robots.
this number is blatantly perverted, as it not only shows the robot having breasts, but it also shows Grandpa fondling them.
Ew.
And these perversions weren't even
Ew.
exclusive to its imagery.
Ew. What's in this key?
It's shocking for so
Oh.
many reasons, but mainly due to the fact that this was on a show that was literally made for toddlers.
It's overtly sexual. Like, there's no way around it. It's like... It's not even, like, hidden. It's out there. Literally. It's like, in the words to the music, in the fact that we have a robot with long hair and, tits out, and the fact that the grandpa's obviously fondling those tits, it's... If this somehow gets more awful than I... Oh my god. Because this is already alarming. Like, this is already very alarming.
And young children, who are now being shown this clearly explicit.
This is already very
The most
alarming.
disturbing of all is the realization that this sexualized material was actually nothing new to the world of Life with Grandpa.
What? What do you mean? Was there more sexual
Predating the
stuff?
puppets, there was a little-known illustrated book series called Life of Grandpa.
Life of
With the show
Grandpa.
practically being a shot-for-shot remake of this book series,
Okay.
featuring the same exact characters and stories.
Okay.
And much like the show, the series was also a religious guide created for children. In its
Okay.
pages, you'll find themes about morality and lessons made to guide you towards a
So it's, like,
proper
similar to
understanding
the
of
show.
religion. But these books also had a very apparent dark side. One far worse than the show it inspired.
Huh? Real
In the
fathers.
chapter Real Fathers, we're shown a scene where Techi and Davidito question why they have two different skin colors, despite them being siblings. As
What?
Techi noticed that Davidito's skin appeared light brown, while hers was almost pure white, to which Grandpa then explains to them how his wife and their mother had slept with other men.
Oh my
See,
god.
I used Timothy and Carlos only to Mama so that I could have you both.
Oh!
Just like an instrument.
Oh my god! There's no shot they use the F word. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. Oh, no.
Create you wonderful little children for his kingdom. Praise the Lord.
Oh, no.
This was followed by an in-depth explanation of what that scene looked like, including images depicting the act.
What?
Examples like this are prevalent all throughout the pages of Life with Grandpa, with erotic material being shown constantly with no regard as to how inappropriate this is to be shown kids.
My jaw
Which
is
begs the obvious
dropped.
question, why? Why was Life with Grandpa so blatantly perverted?
What the
Well, the answer
fuck?
lies with the author of the books, and the reason for the show's existence,
Okay.
David Berg.
David Berg. David Berg.
And they shall gather together in light.
Who is this guy?
Jesus is going to come back to rapture his saints, to gather them together.
Born in 1919, David grew up a devout believer in Christianity, but wanted
Okay.
something more from the religion. He dreamed of one day starting his own group with his own teachings.
Okay.
And in 1968, at the ripe age of 50, he decided it was time to do just that. The group began in Huntington Beach, California, and went by many names over the years, like Teens for Christ, Children of God, the Family of Love, the Family
course.
International, or just the Family. But regardless of its name, there was no
What?
denying what this group was.
The family is
A
international.
cult. A cult led
Yeah.
by David Berg.
I mean,
He would
obviously.
find young hippies and those struggling with drug addiction and mental health issues, and convince them to join his group by stating that the end of the world was coming soon, and that they needed to follow in his path and join his family to save their souls.
Okay, so fear mongering.
It was pretty standard cult ideology, but at the time it was extremely effective, with the sect amassing a staggering 10,000 members at its peak. And at first, David got by with fairly standard teachings from the Bible, although this wouldn't last. After some time, Berg began addressing his followers via frequent illustrated messages called Mo letters that featured his ramblings
Basic
and
Mo
teachings from
letters.
the time, with Berg slowly ingraining into his members that the contents of these letters should be taken as seriously, if not more so, than the Bible. In one of
Okay.
these letters sent out in 1972, Berg claimed that God was going to destroy the United States and that the group needed to flee the country immediately, with Berg demanding that his followers spread out all across the globe and open up.
And let me guess,
homes
his
where members
followers-
could live
his
as
followers
away
followed?
from the public eye. As a result, many members packed up their things and left right away.
Of course.
Leading to roughly 130 communities being established across 70 different countries.
Jesus
essentially
Christ.
overnight. This mass migration had an extremely significant impact.
It's like, yeah, it's literally a cult.
Practically the entire group outside of the United States, and more importantly, outside of the United States jurisdiction, meaning that Berg can now
What?
get away with far more than he used to. And unsurprisingly, this is where he began to tighten his control.
Oh no. What did he
The
start
full-time
doing?
members were made to give up all of their earthly possessions to the group and cease all contact with their family and friends who were non-believers, cutting them off from the outside world completely. And these restrictions also applied to the media they consumed.
Oh no. Was it all Christian stuff? Oh, it's all Christian stuff.
Teachings, Berg denounced all forms of entertainment made outside of the cult, since he believed that this would poison the minds of his members and potentially sway them into leaving the group. And so, instead, he insisted that his followers only consume media that was produced directly by the family.
Okay.
With these works often being created by Berg himself or the other followers he enlisted, and then shipped directly to the members' homes, leading to hundreds, if not
So
thousands
that's
of
Life with
videos,
Grandpa,
movies, and
or
TV
Life
shows
with
being
Grandpa.
produced and shared among the family. But for Berg, this wasn't just about providing entertainment. It was really all about controlling the minds of his group, and even more importantly, indoctrination, with his primary targets being children.
Of course.
From
Obviously.
birth, most kids were not shown any media other than what the cults gave their parents, with these works quite literally
Yeah,
shaping
these kids are literally being born into the cult, right? I mean, it's like you have all of these people that are in the cult, and they're obviously, you know, like making love and stuff like that. So it's like these babies and children are being born into the cult only knowing of the cult's ideologies, which is wild because these kids have no idea what's going on in the outside world, like outside of this cult that David Berg made. It's kind of disgusting. All of these teachings that these kids are only going to know this, they only believe in this one thing, and it's like, this is the only thing they're taught, so they're meant to believe that the cult is the only thing that exists.
Their minds into following everything that the cult believed in without question.
Yeah.
The main themes of these were usually things like always be happy,
More than 70 little muscles for a rowdy face.
Okay.
But only 14 muscles put a smile in its place on your face.
we show love,
And these are all from, like,
under
the
any
followers.
circumstances, question your parents.
Yeah, these are all from the followers. What?
And Life with Grandpa was no exception,
Yeah.
as it too was created by the family in order to instill
Of
their
course.
beliefs into its child's
Yeah,
mind.
obviously, Life with
The line,
Grandpa.
trust and obey, being hammered home time and time again, as those creating the programs didn't want their kids questioning any of the practices, and so they were teaching them to simply smile along and trust the adults.
So Life with Grandpa was made by the family to be consumed by other members of the family as their only form of, like, entertainment along with the other stuff that the family has made. Which is kind of shocking, in a way, because they're being taught all these things that are only by the family, and it's like, you must watch things that are only made by the family. You can't watch anything else. No outside entertainment or stuff like that, because that'll corrupt your mind.
But because the group was the one producing and distributing the content,
Yeah.
they basically had no regulations placed on them,
Oh.
meaning that they could include whatever they want in these shows
Oh,
without
no.
any repercussions.
Oh, no.
Leading to many of the showrunners exploring some of the group's more controversial beliefs.
Oh, no.
Which becomes extremely troublesome when you realize that the family wasn't just your standard cult, and instead, it was a sex cult.
No. Oh my god. You know, going into this video, I thought that this was just going to be, about the creator of the show and not about his weird-ass cult that involves not only consuming media made by the family, but also sex? What? I have a feeling this is where shit's gonna get really bad, so just a warning. If we go back to the warnings from the beginning, just a quick warning, I don't know if this is where shit hits the fan, but if it does, then oh no.
When you think of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, what are you thinking
The love.
about? You think about a beautiful naked man. and a
Ew.
beautiful naked woman.
Oh,
And
Garden
the
of
first
Eden.
thing that a beautiful naked man and a beautiful naked woman
They have
would, of
intercourse.
course, naturally do as soon as they saw each other and nobody else around. I think just one look was all it took.
Ew.
David Berg was a
What?
deeply perverted man. The idea
Obviously.
of sex consumed him and seeped its way into essentially all of his teachings.
I think Adam and Eve are over there in those bushes right now, busy making not pina colada. I think they're making some other kind of juices.
And once his followers
Ew.
were outside of the US, he began to preach something he called the law of love, which essentially said that the family should be showing all people love, and that love should come in the form of sex.
What?
Practice what I preach, and I preach sex, boys.
And girls, hallelujah!
And so he told his followers to open up their relationships to outsiders, calling the practice sharing, as you were made to share your partner in the hopes of enticing new people to join the group. But he wasn't satisfied with just this, and instead he began to mandate that the women of the group participate in something he called flirty fishing.
What?
Also known as FF, flirty fishing describes the practice of women going into bars at night in order to pick up lonely men, who they would then entertain for the night. The goal of this was to convince these men to join the family, though more realistically, the goal was also to make money, as they were made to charge for their services, with the women being told to seek lonely businessmen. And this is something that Berg not only pushed heavily, but outright mandated, insisting that every woman in the group do this or face being removed from the family, even those who were married.
Jesus.
Berg was so serious about this that he sent every colony report forms so that they could report how much flirty fishing was being done, in order to check their statistics and make sure that they were up to par. Understandably, many women of the group were concerned by this, and wanted nothing to do with it. However, most of them had moved all the way across the world, and sacrificed all of their belongings to be in this group, meaning that their removal would leave them with
nothing.
They were trapped.
It's like they had to.
Put, Berg was forcing the women of the group into prostitution.
Yes.
And he was shameless about it too, calling
Which
them
is
God's
fucked.
whores and Christ's hookers.
Ew.
The worst of all, Berg knew that flirty fishing could put these women in grave danger, as he admitted to them that violent assaults were going to happen, but he said that if you want to live, simply don't resist. And if you do get hurt or even killed...
Okay. So Spotty got a reputation of being quite free with your sex. You might as well expect it. Oh. Oh my god. Float a little bit. To save your life in prison for bodily harm, don't listen. I don't want to read this. I don't want to read this. You can read it. I don't want to fucking read this. This is gross. This is actually fucked up. And we still have like a long video left here. Oh my god, I've already been recording for 32 minutes.
Resist. And if you do get hurt or even killed, that's entirely your fault, as after all, it was God's will.
What?
And this was on top of a myriad of other horrific things that Berg said that I can't even repeat here. But
Yeah,
the man
don't.
saying all of these horrific things was the same man who wrote Life with Grandpa, and he used this medium to normalize his sex cult's beliefs for the children watching, which gives more context as to why women were portrayed in the way they were in these books and the show, as Life with Grandpa was breaking down the young girls.
Sorry about that black screen, by the way. I just had to change my cursor thing to not capture it, but then OBS blanked out the entire thing, so I had to like quickly switch to
of prostitution that they were made to accept without question.
trust and obey.
Though the show wasn't only for preparing the kids for the perverse lifestyles they were headed for, and instead, they were already becoming well accustomed to it.
Oh no. There's nothing in the world there's nothing in the world at all wrong with sex. As long as it's practiced in love. No matter who or I don't like it. I don't like it. This is probably like one of the worst Nick Crowley videos yet. And I don't mean like worst as in like the video is just shit. I mean bad. I mean worst as in like the content. This is. It just keeps getting worse. It just keeps getting worse and worse. And I thought the Smart School by 9 shit was bad.
In his Mo letters, Berg also began to preach that children should be involved in these affairs and sharing as well, stating that he believed age should have nothing to do with it. In fact, he believed that children...
I hope all of... I'm not gonna read anything.
Essentially, as soon as they're born. And although, again, I can't read his exact words on this, Berg had declared open season on pedophilia, and much like flirty fishing, it was mandatory.
Oh.
The abuse that followed is unimaginable, at a scale far too large to fully know to this day. Abuse that the parents of the children not only allowed, but often participated in, with one of the more notorious large-scale accounts coming from something that the group called the love video.
Ew,
This movie
no.
was a result of Berg sending out requests to all of the parents to send him lewd videos of their children dancing, which he not only took for himself,
What?
but packaged together into a long-form compilation
Why?
that was then distributed to all of the cult's members, encouraging the others to film similar content, with Berg going as far as creating a guide to help create the perfect video. And not only did many parents go along with this, but many clearly enjoyed it.
Keita shared with us the video that just came from World Services, and it was so inspiring. It was so beautiful. The love video.
And for this couple specifically,
What?
this wasn't the only order that they were happily following.
And it was really a blessing too for Joe and Hobo, because they had a good chance to share also with Sally. And so the Lord's really setting us freer and freer to obey and to be free and to show that sample of freedom and love to the world.
Trust and obey.
Life with Grandpa was literally created to indoctrinate kids into a pedophilic sex cult, and it makes you realize why exactly it and so many other of the cult's programs were hammering home this point of not questioning your parents or any adults, and to simply obey and smile.
So the right thing is
To obey.
Because the adults in their lives were now suddenly doing unimaginable things to them, and they were being groomed not to question it.
Yeah,
making
and
some of
they-
the show's segments horrendous in hindsight.
One very special way you can show the big people that you love
By a
them
kiss.
is by giving them lots of hugs, kisses, and cuddles.
Ugh.
Oh.
Ew.
Love and affection really encourages and inspires the big people.
It was normalizing their abuse, and because of this, many children
I
never
feel
questioned
sick
the
to my
horrible assaults
stomach.
that they endured. Assaults that were all fueled and pushed by David.
I feel
Berg's
sick to my
versions.
stomach.
God created boys and girls able to have children by about the age of 12 years of age. Having childhood sex? Yeah.
Which were far from theoretical, as Berg himself allegedly partook in this practice repeatedly with his own children and stepchildren, as incest was also a key point of his teachings. And his adult followers rarely dared to question this, as those who refused to partake in Berg's latest teachings were again at risk of removal from the group, which is even more devastating for those who had children, as much like all of their
Look at how
possessions,
young those
their
kids
were
are. What
pledged
the
and belonged
fuck?
to the family. And the kids themselves couldn't seek help either, as those that refused to trust and obey were sent away to actual prison camps owned by the cult until they were basically reprogrammed.
Why?
They made camps. I was sent with my brother to the Philippines. We had armed guards from the Philippines.
Yeah, this is someone who was in the cult.
They would publicly beat you if you asked to leave, then try to break you and get you to confess.
And the group continuously got away with this too, thanks in large part to Berg's orchestration of the group leaving the United States, which looking back was almost certainly done on purpose. Plus, many members were actually living in hiding. In fact, all of the members were made to change their names upon joining the group, and most were told to never give out their last names, meaning that if any child wanted to report that had happened to them, they would be unable to provide even the names of their abusers. And this included Berg too, who at this point lived most of his life in hiding, going by numerous aliases to avoid detection. Aliases like King, Moses, Mo, Dad, and eventually
Mo.
Grandpa.
I don't want to watch this anymore, but I'm doing it for you guys. This is by far the worst Nick Crowley video yet. And we still have quite a bit of the video left.
The entire show was about him, David Berg, which is why he was shown as a wise, unquestioned religious-like figure.
Yep,
who the
he
children
looks
wanted
like-
to look up to. And that wasn't all, as the characters shown alongside Berg were also members of his real-life family that lived with him
Oh,
in
that's
Rome at the time.
disgusting.
Mother Maria was the nickname of Karen Zerby, David's wife who helped him run the cult and facilitate
Oh,
this
that's
era of
gross.
sexualization. while Aunt Sarah was based on Sarah Kelly, the woman in charge of running the prison camp made to punish the kids who dared question the family's beliefs.
Sarah Kelly, who was responsible for me being held against my will in the Philippines.
But the most grotesque detail to come from the revelation of
The
who
kids.
these characters are was that it showcased David Berg's polygamy, as he was actually married to many people in the real world, and 2 characters on the show itself, Mother Maria and Davida. His then
No, he was not. Shut the fuck up. Can I just sit here in silence for a little bit? Just like, you know, just a breath of fresh air.
then 5-year-old stepdaughter.
Oh, it got so much worse. Oh, it got so much worse. Oh, it got so much worse. I am paused and it got so much worse. I don't feel good. I do not feel good at all. I feel fucking gross and disgusted. I paused the video and it got so much worse. What the fuck?
Davida would eventually go on to tell her story, stating that she had been Berg's child bride.
And there was a ceremony with the ring and everything. And once I turned 5 years old was when I was implicated into being one of his queens, so to speak.
Along with allegations that she had been victimized by him countless times. And she wasn't the only victim of Berg's perversions. Techi was often sexualized by Berg publicly, with Berg having stories made and illustrated depicting his fantasies about her when she was just a child. On top of this, numerous people within the group also claim that she had been outright assaulted by the hands of Berg, as well as many others in the group.
And look at our pretty girls today. You're dressed in such nice dresses and your hair looks so nice. Yes, you look so pretty for all the children.
What about Davidito? With
The
Davidito.
context of who these characters are makes this already disturbing show that much more sickening. But of all of the horrible
Davidito.
stories to come from the real-life characters of Life with Grandpa, there's one that is far and away the most horrific. The story of Davidito.
Davidito. Oh no.
David is such a handsome boy, isn't he, girl?
The story of
Would you like
Davidito.
to share some more lessons?
Yes, Grandpa.
Are you all ready? Okay, David. You have the floor.
His real name was Ricky Rodriguez, and as a baby, he was taken in as Berg's son, following Maria conceiving him with a man after a night of flirty fishing. And being David's first son, he was given the nickname Davidito. As for David Berg, he viewed this child as essentially a messiah. He began telling his followers that Davidito would one day save them from the apocalypse, causing Davidito to become a celebrity within the group, and worshipped as a religious figure when he was just a baby. Which explains why he was given so much airtime during Life with Grandpa, and why he was constantly being showered with gifts.
We want to give you a little surprise.
Oh, because he was
you
thought
are
of as
such
a
a
messiah.
great witness.
And for David and Karen, they wanted Davidito's life and childhood to be a guide for all members of the group, as they raised him in what they believed to be the perfect manner for a godly household. And so the couple and several other contributors documented the way he was raised, with daily journal entries that were published as weekly newsletters, and eventually turned into one massive book titled The Story of Davidito. And the family truly believed that this over 700-page book was the ultimate guide for parenting, and showed the only proper way to raise a child, though what it actually showed was just how badly Davidito was being abused.
Oh no.
Davidito was described laying next to his nude nannies, witnessing orgies involving his own mother, and being touched sexually by the adults around him, with these examples being presented through not only written stories, but actual photographs, with the adults involved having their faces removed and drawings placed over the top of them in order to hide their identities. The book was not only promoting sexual acts with children, but it was outright showing it, and showing it happen to Davidito. And because of this, we have a daily journal entry of all the abuse that this child suffered.
Oh, I hate this. I hate this. I hate this.
Despite all the heinous acts that had been going on within the family, they had up until this point gone virtually unchecked by the public eye. But the story of Davidito would prove to be the first domino to fall, as the book leaked to the press.
Tonight, the cult
Okay, the book leaked.
Founded by Moses David Berg, he reportedly sanctioned sex among children.
This immediately became a news story all across the world,
Of
and it
course.
began shining a light on the family and its twisted beliefs. But despite all the constant news coverage, and the story of Davidito being tangible proof of the cult's horrible practices, there was still essentially nothing done to stop them. As very
If
few
David Berg isn't dead today, I want this motherfucker dead. Like, I want this dude executed in the most painful way possible.
arrests were ever made as a result, and even fewer resulted in convictions, so nothing was ever done to help Davidito. And so during his entire childhood and his early adult years, he stayed with the group. Though the older he got, the more he began to see the family for what they really were.
Yeah.
And the constant pain that he was experiencing eventually made him want to
that's
just run away from
that's
it
the
all.
face of a man who
So,
is
in 1999,
distraught.
that's exactly what he did, fleeing to the United States in the hopes of starting a new life. Though this was easier said than done, and no amount of distance was enough to keep him away from his tortured past. At one point during his time in the United States, Ricky actually opened up about the struggles he was experiencing on a website made for survivors of the family.
Okay.
And there, he documented just how bad things really were for him and several others behind the scenes, living with Berg, appropriately titling the post, Life with Grandpa.
Life with Grandpa.
It was apparent that he was haunted by this life that he tried to escape, as the trauma was an everyday cycle of hell, and he just couldn't take it anymore.
Do you know that sometimes the Lord likes to test our faith?
Oh, please tell me that he didn't.
And to really make us pray?
Please tell me that he
This is
didn't.
just what happened to me,
Please tell me
Lord.
that he didn't. No.
Well,
No. No.
I want people to know that even though
No.
some of the things that I'm going to try to do are rather shocking and maybe not right in a lot of people's books, I want to explain some of the reasons behind it.
On January 7th,
Yeah.
2005, Ricky Rodriguez set up a video camera in his apartment and expressed his desire to kill his mother and other leaders of the group
no.
for all the dreadful things that they had done not only to him,
okay.
but to all the other children, with his hope
Okay.
being that this would finally bring down the family once and for
Okay.
all.
I thought he was gonna shoot himself, but no, he's gonna kill the people in the family.
Then I can go to the next life knowing that, that I made a difference.
With Ricky going as far as to show off the various ways that he planned on torturing them.
I'm gonna have to make do. I got my drill here.
I mean, he.
There are lots of fucking
Props to him for, like, realizing that this shit's fucked up. I mean, like, he got older, he realized that, my life was extremely fucked, and this cult is extremely fucked. So I want to do something about it, and...
God knows, He hears, He cares. He loves His girls and boys. He gives His very best to those who let Him choose the toys.
By this point, David Berg had been dead for years, so the
Okay.
family carried on with his mother, Karen Zerby, assuming full control, which explains why she was the primary target. And much like Berg, Karen spent most of her life in hiding, with Ricky being unable to track her down, though he was able to find Angela Smith, one of the nannies responsible for raising him, as well as one of his most prominent abusers, as she was even shown in the story of Davidito as him. At this point, Ricky was exhausted, and Angela was his last shot at getting intel to help him find his mother and finally carry through on his plan.
So be like, where the hell
So
is she?
invited her over for dinner under the guise of rejoining the group.
I went home that night and tried to wait patiently for the next day. But the Lord still had more lessons that He
Ricky's
wanted
gonna
to
torture
teach
her.
This is what happened.
Oh no.
Before Ricky could even get the information he was looking for, something in him snapped, and midway through their conversation, Ricky grabbed a knife and stabbed Karen in the arm, and then slit her throat.
Oh my god.
He fled the area that night, driving for hours until he reached California, the place that years before David Berg had started the family. There, he called his ex-wife, professing to everything he did, saying that he did it mainly for his sister Techi, but he felt no better. In fact, he felt worse. And even looking back at the video, it's very obvious that this was something that Ricky didn't truly want to do. Instead, he felt like he had to do it.
Yeah, his face tells you that he was like... His face tells you that he didn't really want to do it. Like, he's so unsure about it.
I don't want to fucking do this. God damn it.
And it was too late to take back what he did. And so he stopped the car in a dark parking lot, sat there for a moment, thinking about everything that had happened during his painful life, and ended his suffering once and for all.
Oh my god.
Boy, that's what these fuckers have done to us. Didn't actually, grab a knife and cut us up, but man, they sure fucked up our brains. So where was it? Grandpa and Mama's house. Literally or figuratively, they're going down. So, with that happy thought, I shall leave you.
Ricky Rodriguez's death was devastating for the community of survivors of the family, and it caused shockwaves all throughout the family itself, as his final video was plastered all over the news. And though it didn't happen in the way he expected it or wanted it to, Ricky's life and death undoubtedly contributed to the decline of the family. And helped diminish the cycle of abuse within the
Thank
group.
God.
Starting from the story of Davidito, the public pressure forced Berg to outlaw the widespread abuse that he once preached. And though it is believed that it never really came to an end, it was at the very least significantly reduced. And by the time the news began to cover Ricky's death, it proved to be the final wake-up call for many still within the group, as they finally began to see through the facade that had once controlled their lives.
Like Grandpa says, prayer is powerful. When we pray, things will happen and things will be different.
It's difficult to watch any of Life with Grandpa, knowing its history, its purpose, and the real people that it was inspired by. Though as soon as the media began taking notice of the cult, many members were made to purge the media that was sent to them that may be considered incriminating. And as a result, it appears that most of Life with Grandpa is missing to this day, and potentially destroyed forever. Currently, only 4 episodes have been recovered, and it's not even known how many more were released, or even what year the show started or ended. But considering how closely the show mirrored the book, it's possible that these potentially missing and destroyed episodes are much worse than the ones we have today. But despite not knowing the full extent of the show, it's clear that Life with Grandpa and the countless other programs that the family made did exactly what they wanted them to. They brainwashed an entire generation of the cult's children, and the effects were devastating.
But they become extremely agitated when we ask them about Moses David Berg's teachings on sex.
My Little Fish. Now, your father described it as a routine publication.
They're not having sex, they're just kissing and hugging in bed. That's not sex. If you show it to other people, they don't understand. That stuff's not supposed to be publicized. So many people think sex is wrong. So many people hate us.
Oh my
and we're just
God.
telling them the truth. We're just telling them it's not wrong. We're just telling them that there's nothing wrong with it. And here come these publicizers doing them to everybody.
Between the strange content from the program itself, its obvious attempts at indoctrinating kids into a cult that was only ever going to harm them, the real-life people behind the characters, and the fact that this propaganda was so effective, I have no doubt that Life with Grandpa is the darkest children's show that I've ever come across.
Yep.
Though, shockingly, there's somehow one more layer to the story that makes this program even more disturbing.
Oh no. Peter Puppet.
And now, here's the exciting ending to this story.
One thing that we haven't discussed yet is who was actually the one behind the creation of the show.
Okay.
There's no doubt that it's David Berg's stories and was probably done at his request.
Yeah, but who
was the one
who
actually
made it?
making it? Well, unfortunately, most of the people who worked on the show have their identities hidden by only using their first names,
Okay.
or even using straight-up aliases. So I could hardly
Like Chris
find any
Gardner.
information on any of them, with the exception of one, Peter
Puppet.
Peter Puppet was sort of a celebrity within the group, being responsible for numerous puppet shows, including one called The Lovettes.
Okay.
Which was actually far more popular than Life with Grandpa. It was
Okay.
even supposedly broadcast on TV in the Philippines,
Hmm.
with the show being a disturbing rabbit hole in its own right.
Oh
Would you like to hear a story? Well then, let's go see Grandpa in the garden. Hello, children. So nice of you to visit us in the garden today.
But Peter Puppet owned this group, and was in charge of the Lovettes team, And coincidentally, the Lovettes just so happened to be credited as the producers of Life with Grandpa.
Produced by the
so Peter
Lovettes.
Puppet was, at the very least, one of the contributing creators of the show.
Yeah, maybe the
he also
creator of
seems
Life
to be
with
the
Grandpa.
one in charge of performing the actual musical numbers on the show, as they featured puppets that belonged to Peter and the Lovettes team, with these segments interestingly being credited to an unknown man named Peter Pioneer.
We have a beautiful song from Peter Pioneer.
It's not a concrete
Peter
link, but
Pioneer.
it's clear that Peter Puppet had a role in the show's creation.
Yeah.
He helped push the family's disturbed ideology onto hundreds of kids across the globe. But during the creation of Life with Grandpa, it seems his own beliefs were being tested.
Huh?
In the beginning of the video, we saw an example of the family's view on doctors.
Yeah.
Surely a doctor would have...
They hate doctors.
But our God is still a God of miracles. Praise the Lord.
This sentiment was really common in the family, as Berg outright forbade any medicine or surgeries of any kind, instead preaching that miracles from God were the only way to heal. And because of this, many members of the family with chronic ailments or fatal illnesses
died.
were basically left to die.
Mhm.
One of those left suffering was Peter Puppet.
Oh no.
His life is almost entirely a mystery, as he lived in hiding in one of the family's compounds, but according to some of the group's members, one day he noticed something in his neck, a small lump, and over the next few weeks and months it began to slowly get bigger and bigger, to the point that Peter had to go visit the doctor in order to see what was wrong. And it was there he learned that inside of him was an aggressive tumor that was only going to get larger. The good news was the tumor was actually operable and could be removed with little risk to his life. The bad news was surgeries were against the family's beliefs, and so he turned it down, instead opting to go back to the compound to pray the tumor away with the other members.
Oh no.
This, however, never happened. Instead, the mass began to
He
grow
died.
at a faster rate, to the point that those around him could notice it, eventually leading to Peter hiding away in his room, away from the others, not wanting to be seen. However, at some point during his struggle, a photograph was taken, showing the entire compound he was living with. And in the background...
Oh my god!
Peter.
Oh my god!
Possibly large. From here, it said that Peter began to beg the family to take him
Oh
into
my
surgery, as the tumor
fucking
was
god.
pregnantly suffocating him slowly, turning him against the very beliefs that he once forced upon so many children over the years. But the family forbade it, insisting that he wait for a miracle that was never going to come. With nowhere else to turn, Peter Puppet supposedly ended his own life shortly after this photograph was taken, adding the final pillar of context to Life with Grandpa, a program that can only be described as the darkest children's show ever created.
We've got to go now. Let's wave bye-bye, kids. God bless you. Come on, say bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
The epilogue. I'm glad you're dead. Rip Bozo, you will not be missed. David Berg died of natural causes in 1994 at the age of 75. He was never... Fuck off. Of course he wasn't. Karen Zerby continues to Hudson's legacy by leading the family... What? To this day? She has not been photographed to see public... So this shit's still going on to this day? The family is still going strong to this day? What the fuck? Sarah Kelly left the family, went to hiding. Okay. She was last seen living in Costa Rica in 2018 working with Tears of Hope, a charity specializing in helping vulnerable women and children. Upon learning of a true identity, Tears of Hope several separate hospitals and she has never been seen again. Takeshi would later speak out against what her brother did, claiming that no abuse ever took place and that Ricky was simply disturbed. She remains with the Oh, that's sad. Due to the statute of limitations, the many victims of the family will likely never receive the justice they deserve. The family continues its operation with strict rules against the abuse of children. However, they have never disavowed David Berg's teachings. Oh my god. That was the worst one yet. Like, oh my fucking god. That was the worst one yet. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go fucking... I don't know what I'm gonna do. Bye.